Well, hello there, everybody. It is Thursday, as they say. So, how are you all? So good to see you on this day in the neighborhood. That's all I got to say. And neighborhood is relative. It can be a small space or it could be a universe. Who knows? We all have that aspect, I guess. I mean, Earth is in a way, right, somewhat in a galaxy. I mean, right? I don't know. Depends on where you think you are. I heard one physicist say, well, you really don't occupy space and time. And I can dig that. I mean, if we are immortal, coming in and experiencing space and time is like, I guess, going to the sauna, you know? Going to go for a spa day, baby. Yeah. So welcome to the spa. I hope you enjoy it. Favor be to us all. Thank you for tuning in. Your energy adds to this, and I'm appreciative and thank you. And, I dig it. You got many other places you can go to. So it's an honor, and it's just far out. That's all I got to say. So nothing missing, nothing broken. If you keep saying that even upon your day of departure or whatever time of departure is for you, say nothing missing, nothing broken. That's a good way just to slide on in, isn't it? That's the way I look at it. So no matter what realm you're in, as I wrote earlier, hey, confess the favor, receive it, and then speak those things that be not as though they are. There you go. That's how I was initiated. And actually, I'm kind of cool about it. Think about it. I was initiated in one of those cults, in Christianity. Well, I guess all of Christianity is technically a cult. But, they have so many schisms that how can 30,000 different denominations be worshiping the same Savior, same God? Think about that. So started from an idea, because here's the shocker. God, whatever God is not a Christian. If there's a savior, it certainly isn't Christian. Which means that, Satan's not a Christian. Lucifer is not a Christian. But somehow or another, they got hijacked. I mean, they were just walking along the promenade, passing a joint between them. And they were just, contemplating, the questions that all of us gods have to deal with. And, then they were abducted, brought down into here. And now they're playing roles that it's like, well, what? I mean, it's like you being kidnapped. You have no idea where you're going because you're going through the cosmos, right? And all of a sudden, and they got hoods on you. So you don't know anything. And all of a sudden, bam, they take it off, and they're handing you this script. And it says, this is the role you will be playing. And your best friend is now your worst enemy. Think about it. Crazy, man. 30,000 different denominations. I don't care what anyone says. That's messed up, man. It's just messed up. And geez, now apparently, you have government that is now fighting God. It was disclosed today on C-SPAN, and it's in the news now. So apparently the United States government is against God. I mean, what the hell's going on here now? I mean, seriously. So someone is sitting in a funky office there in DC and says, hey, it's a good idea. We ought to start this battle against God. Yeah, I think that would be a good plan. Seriously? Listen, I don't care what God you believe in. I ask, first of all, believe in yourself, then the whole God thing kind of comes into it, because we're all gods. The way you look at it. If we are immortal, merely possessing mortality, think about it. That's divine. It's divinity. Shit, that's some sacred shit, man. I mean, that's what we're talking about. Yeah. Sacred shit, the SS. Yeah. Hey, Nina, what's up, everyone? Robert V, what's up? So good to see you. Hey, Jenny, how are you? And all the moderators, so good to see you. So I got carried off onto that because the insanity. I mean, why would you do that? I mean, you have a myriad of things that you could focus in on, but you're going to go and start attacking God. And the problem is, it's like pissing in the wind. It's always going to blow back in your face because you can't define God. Ay, ay, ay. Someone wrote me and said, well, yesterday you said to some person, they were quoting the Old Testament, that that's not their right. They have no claim to it. What do you mean? Folks, I'm going to tell you, we got a lot of people that listen in. I mean, and it looks like many of them are struggling on, the spiritual path. But I wrote back, I said, well, you have to know what you're reading here. The West pollutes everything. It contaminates everything. Western belief is pagan in itself because it was completely made up. I mean, you go back in history and you have regions of the earth where, you had long history, but not here in the West. But anyway, I said, you didn't read the book, did you? Now, I know modern day theology tries to connect it, but here's the deal. In fact, one rabbi I actually heard talking about this said, listen, even modern day Jews really don't have a claim on the Old Testament, being that the Old Testament was so far back that these were tribes. We've talked about this many times. And the idea of God is messy at best. But when you attribute a word that is contributed to this idea, be it Yahweh, be it the Elohim, I had a dream. But anyway, it deals with covenants, contracts. Trina and I have talked about this a lot on our shows, is that, we're in a contract here. This contract is one that was birthed in blood. Now, one can say, well, you go through a C-section, I'm not going to get into that. The fact that you're in this universe, this embryonic fluid that's surrounding you, it's your own universe. And then you come through this portal. Yeah. Question is, are you signing as you're going through, or did we all sign before we came in? I'm convinced that we all signed before we came in. I choose to be of the idea that we said, yeah, I want to go at this particular time in this construct. So here we are. Howdy, friend. What's up? Hey, Gaia. Good to see you. Robert V is in the house. And Lori, how you doing, Blazing River? Did you get my email about Skinwalker Around? She may have accidentally captured a plasma discharge. Yes, the squatter man. Yes, and you ought to write to Travis on that one, brother. Be interesting. Jenny, how you doing? Mary Wins, good to see you all. Jargo, what's up? Gogo, I think, is probably in there, and the rest of y'all. But anyway, that was what I wrote back. I said, this is about contracts. Now, Paul, who, in my opinion, it's not this saintly dude, man. As the Hebrew class, they don't look on them very favorable either. Kind of like the Benedict Arnold situation, but yeah, he tried to connect it. But the problem with the flawed thought of Paul's whole thesis is that, well, this was like grafting to the vine. And if you graft it to the vine, then you have right to the vine itself. I don't know. Could be some debate on that. I mean, it would make the vine that if you were originally part of that, it would contaminate that within itself, because if something is being grafted that is foreign. Okay. Anyway, got some fresh lemonade. Really good stuff. So, all right, I had this dream last night. It was really a far out dream, I have to say. It was, I love how my mind builds, it's like the movie Inception. There's a whole ideology built around Inception. This whole theory, and it's complex. I've read a number of papers on it. And if you examine your dreams and study them, it tells you a lot about you. Now, in my dreams, the buildings that are there are not quite like the buildings that we see, that we think are buildings. The buildings that, and this one was so distinct last night, they morph. It's the weirdest thing. I can be walking on a large walkway, and I paid attention to the tile floors. What was the floors covered with? Anyway, there were people in this dream last night, and wow. We got a new mattress, and it's amazing what it'll do when you can really get into, and my wife said, "You were in deep, deep sleep." I said, "I think I wasn't even in my body, was out there." But anyway, so I'm walking along, and there were a couple of these, I'd say, dudes that were walking behind me, and one had put up his foot and had put it right here, and it was, rather large. And all of a sudden, I turn around, and I remember this distinctly. I went like this with my hand. Then with both hands, I brought this in, and then I brought this and rolled it into, and I can't get this last part. But when I did that, the individual because I was staring right at its eyes, and suddenly it had this look of absolute horror on its face, as though I had put a hex on it. That is one that, and the other that were around him, they suddenly weren't there, and he just had this look. But I remember distinctly, it was counterclockwise. I came in, and I brought this in, and I brought that in, and then I did something like this, and this last part, I'll try to get it. But anyway, what an adventure, huh? Yeah. And study your dreams. That's all I got to say. Study your dreams. So how's everybody doing? So, Jenny, you think it was binding? It was interesting. Yeah. I was meditating out, listening to nature, and I got the sense that I was closing something. Yeah, and it was very distinct. I want to tell you, it was and it was interesting, because I was like a Seinfeld episode. I was using the third person to talk about me. You know, and it was weird because I'm in this form, but yet I'm doing this. And I remember as I turned around and walked away, in my dream, I remember saying, where did that come from? I remember asking myself, what does that mean? So anyway, the counterclockwise, what was that, Jenny? I got to go back on here. Let's see. The counterclockwise is powerful turning back time. Wow. Jenny, you have to write me an email, darling. Hey, Pengrady, what's up? Good to see you. I have to go back and check in the chat room and see what the rest of people say. It was very, very distinct. That's all I got to say. Very distinct. Hey, that's what I kind of felt as well, Jenny. It was weird. Really, really interesting because it's one of those questions you go, like, what the heck was that? I remember turning and saying, it's like that. And as I'm looking at it now, I'm reliving that dream again. I remember, like, what did I just do? Hey, they're teaching us. They're teaching us when we're in our dream state. Someone said, and Nina, I don't know if it was you, but hey, S. Lee, what's up? Good to see you. Energetic. That, and it's odd because it's been constantly now with me that, and I don't know how to approach this. I mean, I'm on this path, and then the vegetation's all in front, and you've got a machete to be able to clear yourself a path because no one's been there. But anyway, well, thank you, Gaia. I have to go back. Yeah. And so these beings, and I'll discuss this before we get into our topic, but I guess it is a topic, Skynet, by the way, Cyberdyne Systems is alive and well. But so my entire existence, which now exceeds 24,000, coming up to 23,300 something days, I've been in this realm. And my whole exposure and existence has been framed around the yin and the yang, the positive, the negative, the good guys, which are called the angels because they're with God, and then the bad guys, which are the demons because they're with, I don't know who the hell they're with. They're with somebody. It's either the devil or Satan, and damn sure ain't Lucifer. Lucifer, man, is like in the high class. I mean, Lucifer to me is like being on the top floor at the Aria. I was on the second to the next one, but those penthouse suites are sweet. That's how I kind of look at it. I mean, so why would they go down into economy? Anyway, I digress. But anyway, this whole thing has been built around it. Everything I've read, all the morals, your character, it's all predicated upon this foundational belief of that there's this good one and then there's this bad one and there's this big battle. And apparently you don't realize this, but you're on the menu. You are the main course. And of course, then it's a battle as well. Are you going to go on this side? Or are you going to go on that side? Which side are you going to go on? But it's interesting in all the philosophy, all the occultism, all the religious training. And I'm telling you, this is a freaking initiation. You look back on it, and I congratulate all of you, because particularly those of you who came out of this, that God spell. I mean, way to go. And those of you who didn't have to, far out. I mean, that's all I got to say. You saved yourselves a lot of freaking struggle. I'll put it that way. Anyway, so it completely eliminates even the remotest of possibilities that there could be a third group In fact, it very well could be that the way that we have labeled these egregores, I'm going, okay. It's like, it's got a little sign up there, and I'm going, well, I'm totally confused. That's all right. It's a good state of being in. But what if we've gotten it all wrong? Now, I don't know what you call them, because I'm still trying to reach out there and, fill the gap in here. But what if there's not these angels? There's not these demons? That really there is a class of beings that are neither one. They're not part of this. They don't want to be a part of it. They don't even know what this is, because most of us don't know what it is. We're in it. We're doing our best, dog paddling and going, I think I can. But, and it's interesting, because if you think about this, it eliminates this third possibility. And so I can't prove any of this, but you can't prove me wrong either. And maybe how we make contact with them is when we get ourselves into a place where neutrality is the third option, and meeting other energetic beings, that they're neither this or that they become above that. If you're in the center of the toroidal field, it's compressed. But if you're neither of that, I'm just saying, it's just something I am thinking about. I don't know. I do know. I think that there is something to this. What say y'all? Thank you for hitting the like button on there. Shirley says, wouldn't that be us? I don't know. Lady Ellie says, go with plan C. I like that idea. It's like, wait a minute. You're telling me I got this freaking free will, right? The only time I have seen present where I could really say definitively that is free will is the will to survive. I mean, the theme of the title today was, if a catastrophic Earth event, which apparently it's coming, been here before, and if things are cycles, then we're cycling through. Did many of us come here to see this? Well, if it's pretty rare that it happens, I mean, in timelines, maybe we've seen it before. Maybe we experienced it before. I don't know. But nevertheless, we're here. So, and if it isn't this cosmic cataclysm, it's going to be an earth cataclysm. And then you get the cataclysms of, governments falling, and, you have the turmoil and all that. We're good at that. So if this is an inevitability, I often wondered, and I've been thinking about this, would you want to? And getting back to where free will is concerned, when someone, and we've all read the stories, Michael Jackson is one that comes to my mind very quickly. It is said that his last words was, I don't want to die. I'm not ready. And out he went. Some we could see in this will to live. I don't know if it's a will to survive, but it's a will to live. Many people will defy the odds. I think of myself, when was battling, the meningitis and the Lyme disease, put me into a freaking coma, messed me up, man. But I recovered from it. But I still remember my neurologist, her telling me, she says, where she grew up in the Philippines. I'm so thankful. That's why I know there's favor on my life. The fact that she was in the emergency room at that time of night, and for the symptoms I had, doctors hadn't seen it before. They didn't know what the hell they were going to drill into my head to relieve the pressure, and had no idea what to do. And here she was. And yeah, but she said many people don't have the will to live through it. Many of you have faced, life-threatening moments, things that could have changed differently, and that the will to survive comes in. If there's free will, I guess that would be a good definition of free will. What say y'all? Hey, Trina. Says, I wonder if we just want to be challenged as fractals of God. What were we thinking? Trina, dear, I'm trying to figure out what the hell were we thinking? I mean, look at the insanity that's going on. And so if these cataclysms are coming, I hate to think that that's our only choice. I mean, if we're going to be able to say, let's make a deal, didn't Monty always at least have 3 doors? I never saw Monty Hall only having 2 doors. Well, you can choose that one or that one. That's not free will. That's not free choice. That's, that's persuasion. I guess it kind of depends on how you begin to look at it from there. But it's so surviving. It's interesting. I saw some of the people that were answering my poll question that there was a time when they would. Now that they're older, they're saying, I can let go. I can, you've got all people doing this prepping. And I don't know, it's this whole thing with the savior bit. No one can explain to me in my former religion that exactly how is this going to work. You got some dude on a white horse coming down. I don't know. Is he flying a Pegasus? I don't know. But apparently he is not human, because apparently he has laser beams coming out of his mouth and his eyes. But anyway, so how does he save a species? Save us from what? Ourselves? But anyway, I digress, because I'm going, how does this work? But getting back into this survival thing. Now, maybe there's a different psychology out there. Maybe there's a different theology. Maybe there's a different ideology. I don't know. But I have a sense that in my world, where it was Rod Sterling, not Rod Serling, that's the one I call bullshit on. But anyway, I digress. So it's been shown that if you survive this cataclysm, it's going to be a hell on earth. I mean, and I'm thinking about this. So what are you surviving for? People who have grandchildren and great-grandchildren, it's the saddest thing you can think about, because if this is coming, I got the best ticket. I mean, I really truly do got the golden ticket. Many of y'all do as well. Most of us do. It's like, yeah, well, we came in at the right time, had a fine time, and now it's our time. But so I mean, you think about this thing. There's going to be a lot of corpses around. I mean, that breeds disease. So if you faced one cataclysm, I mean, what are they're going to have the Grim Reaper coming around with the cart and picking up all the dead bodies and, putting them into the earth, burying them into the earth, or I guess, with all the cataclysm, the magma and the lava, I guess all the bodies are going to be burnt, right? I don't see that really happening. But, if you play this scenario out, you're going, okay. And human beings are animals. We really are. We keep forgetting that. And we keep thinking that we're at the top. I think there's good evidence that we've stepped down a notch or two. But anyway, humans tend to, if they don't have it, then they're going to go out to try to find it. And woe be unto you if you have some of it. They're going to want to take all of it. And typically, if they're taking that which is not theirs, then that means they're robbing you, stealing, taking your life substance for their own life substance. Don't know. And then what are you going to do? The infrastructure is gone. I read a report, and this was actually, you can go online and you get these, with the dark winter scenario, in many of these other scenarios that they play out, it's been pretty well proven that the infrastructure is going to be gone. I mean, we're talking a cataclysm, even if it's a government falling, one country going to the war with the other, the first thing you take out is the infrastructure. And in our case, in our technological reality today, it takes only a flip of the switch and one little poof about 5 miles up in the atmosphere, and all of our little gadgets and our air conditioners and our things that make us be able to live in this environment comfortably is gone. Now, if you're in the country and you already don't use those things, you have an advantage. The problem is that your skills will become ones that others are going to look for, because they know with your skills, it means you typically have supplies. So it gets ugly there. I mean, it's a question that, if this event is going to happen, do you really want to survive? I mean, I was thinking, I know this may sound a little mundane, but I was thinking about this. One of the greatest modern marvels that we have come up with, and I think it bears witness to be something stamped into the annals of time, because we came up with something that all of humanity for thousands and thousands of years struggled with. I mean, this was a top thing that it was one of those things, as being a human, you just, and even because nature's against us in this. And that's toilet paper, wiping our asses. The interesting thing about the human anus, as opposed to the animal kingdom, the anus with animals is designed to basically almost self-clean itself, where the anus on humans is not. And if you think about this, the fact that we struggled with this for thousands and thousands of years, we simply used a hand. That's why in many countries where the left hand was typically used, you would not shake a person's hand, because you wiped your ass with that hand. And the fact that, we saw in the big scare and the lockdowns, what was the first thing that everyone started hoarding? Toilet paper. I mean, I don't think the guys, we may have a little bit better of advantage, but I don't get how women. Talk to my wife on this many times, and it's amusing because women use more toilet paper than men. It's just the nature of things. So, can you imagine surviving in this post-apocalyptic scene, this catastrophe, and if you ain't got no toilet paper, you're going to find out that it becomes very uncomfortable. Well, heck, you're going to find out a whole lot of stuff, because all of that. But think about it. And I'm being jovial in this, but I'm being also very serious. No toilet paper. No ability for plumbing. Sanitation. I mean, come on. I used to talk about how the fact that if you believe that, the Bible was true, you have to think it was a pretty shitty situation back in those days. I mean, the Romans had, I guess, the best idea. You had a sponge. And in the public bathrooms, your sponge was, pretty much, in a common area of vinegar. I mean, you still got the whole issue with fecal matter and the whole bit. And if you were out making a trip to another country, I mean, think about it. It just, yeah. See, Bonnie, I'm right there with you. I mean, serious. Hey, Emperor Rex, what's up? These are just the small little things. I mean, they become really big things really quickly, It's like, oh, shit, no more toilet paper. Oh, man, now what are we going to do? Even within the last 100 years, back in the Great Depression, toilet paper was not that plentiful. And the great thing that they'll tell you, because we had outhouses, and most outhouses had a Sears and Roebuck catalog. This is true. And why? Well, because the Sears and Roebuck's catalog was always thick, but it had a particular texture to the paper that made those necessary things being able to be done. But anyway, Joyce says, where do they do potty on the Death Star? Isn't that the truth? They never talk about that one. B in South Africa, let's see. How are you doing? Welcome. We often have no water too, so flushing is a miracle and hand washing is also a privilege. Spot on. That's what I'm talking about. I mean, yeah. As a kid, when we lived on the farm, we were poor. I mean, poor. And this house that we lived in, which was rented, had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rooms with a bathroom. So my dad, being the ever enterprising person he was, converted the attic into this one big room. And that's where myself and my brothers that's where our bedroom was. Now, the only problem was we had a tin roof. And if many of you who live in Texas, particularly down there in the Gulf Plains, it got damn hot in the summertime and damn cold in the wintertime. It was so hot that the silverfish, I still remember them. They couldn't even take it at time, and we only had this small little window. I mean, we survived. I don't know if I'd want to do that today, but it shows that, I remember a time where we didn't have those so-called luxuries. A fan would have been a luxury, but yeah. And I'm thinking about this, it's like, all right, so if this cataclysm is coming, now I most likely, and by some estimates, they're saying 2000, late 2030s, 2040, what? I think I will be already past the point of transition. I will be out of here, because I really don't have any desire to see what that's going to be like. No, those are the type of memories you don't want to be carrying with you. It's like, well, how was your trip there the last time? Well, let me tell you a story. And as you're telling your story, everybody's going, hey, there's some counseling right down the next planet, and yeah, I mean, troublesome. Where'd you hear that at? But it's true. Yeah. It was so cold, and oh, folks, I mean, my stepmother would hit the ceiling with the broomstick and literally said, and I still remember that, rise and shine, boys, and it was so cold in the wintertime, I actually slept on top of my clothes. So they were warm putting on. Yeah. Remember that. Said John, yeah. And I still love beans today. It's, to me, I just do it. um, what was Jenny saying? See, I'm missing all of this conversation. Well, that's because I'm driving the bus and I'm trying to hear back, and I'm listening to the conversation going, yeah, that's good. Shirley says, my house is 120 years old, 5 add-ons, still 1 toilet. My son. Exactly. Everybody has to mark their spot. And then it really is. I mean, I don't know. Do you think that if this cataclysm happens and it wipes out, billions and billions and billions of us, do you think that we're going to somehow be of a better character? I mean, there'll be a whole set of new rules. There's no doubt. I just got a sense that it's going to be this Mel Gibson, and the whole Thunderdome or whatever the hell Mad Max scenario. And we see it in natural disasters here. I mean, people get wiped out by a hurricane, and you got people coming in and looting. What the hell is that? I mean, what? I always, when the riots were always taking place, I could never figure out where they were taking, all these TVs. That was the big thing, was a TV. And I'm going, so what happens when you have no TV? It's like a lot of people don't read anymore, books, it's because it's all digital, Obviously, in my DNA somewhere, I have a love of books. There's going to be a sale at the library here. Going to go and peruse that one and see. You never know what kind of gems you might find, even in the most rural of situations. But yeah. I think a lot of things may be taken down Blazing River. Yeah, I really do. But think about it. So you've got this whole collapse situation in the food. I mean, that Dragon Day showed very quickly, if you're living in a densely urban area, wow. I mean, if any of these scenarios come to fruition, not good. The new thing is the Klaus Schwab group and the so-called elites. And what's that about? I see, because I used to be one of those geeks that C-SPAN was one of my favorite channels. I just like to see how government works. Today, I had to make this observation. Out of the 419 or 20 plus House of Representatives, and out of the 50 senators, and it's interesting, over 80% claim to be Christian and believe in Jesus Christ and God. Okay. Don't know what the other percentage is. I'm maybe Luciferians, maybe Satanists, but doubt if they're Luciferians. Because here's my problem. I have witnessed that virtually, not all, but the vast majority of these politicians lie with intent, with foreknowledge. They lie. But yet they tell others that they believe in this God that the First Tantamount says, Jesus says this, all liars go to hell. No liars will go into heaven. I guess they're expecting that they're going to get a free pass. But what it's really saying that the U.S. Congress and the U.S. Senate is run by Satanists. Yes. Self-proclaiming Satanist. Because a Satanist will tell you they'll lie to your face. It's part of what their God is. So if you lie, and you're lying, and you're deceiving, and you're manipulating, you're a Satanist. Welcome to hell. So it means the United States government is run by Satanists. Luciferians have character, I have to say. They do. They have the integrity. It's just with the respect of who she is. Now, that's a frightening thought. That's maybe why things are so messed up. I don't know. I'm just saying, follow the logic. You can't be claiming that you're one thing and then do another because you're a hypocrite. Well, all hypocrites go to hell. Now, if you're free of that spell, don't worry about it. Just be yourself. Above all things else, be true to thy own self. Ain't that hard? Here's someone saying, the hell it isn't. Lifelong struggle, ain't it? Hell yes. But follow me on this. JD and Nina, when we get together next week on the demonology, it means that the U.S. Congress are mostly Satanist. Now, it's real interesting to see if they're calling upon demonic beings, demonic gods, because they can't be calling on the Jesus God. That God has rejected them. So it means that there's a lot of conjuring going on in the halls of Congress. It means that there's a lot of witchcraft going on. Because see, a lie is basically casting a spell, false spell. It's deception, manipulation. Yeah. Because Jesus said it's better to be poor than a rich man, because a rich man already has his rewards. Well, I mean, follow me, folks. I mean, Yeah, well, we don't like talk about that stuff here, you know. I listen, I completely understand it. Let's see. I love Lucy. Yeah. Lucy, Paired, Ethel, Ricky. Hey, that's pretty cool. I like that. And I still remember the episode where Ricky Ricardo came into the door, into the very first thing he says, Lucy, you got some explaining to do. Now, in this realm, that doesn't exist. That's cool. I still remember it in mine. Yeah, I love that. Someone's going to go, oh man, if they ever hear you saying that, go listen to some of the Steiger perspectives. Go to the archives over at Artists First. Love those guys over there. I mean, it got really, y'all don't know the whole story. It got really, really intense there. I was letting too much truth out, as they were saying. I don't like that shit. John says we're already living in a post-apocalyptic world. There's could be some truth to that, but yeah. Someone says, "Well, how can you make a distinction between a Luciferian and Satanist?" Go back and look in the archives. We did that. I mean, and then I'm thinking to myself, well, what if I can separate these names, these inferred upon titles, and grasp within my consciousness the ability to rise above this, that there's neither angel nor demon, but there are beings of such exquisite nature. Their presence alone bathes you in this energy. They welcome you when you can ascend above this, that. Yeah, I don't know. I love that song, Jenny. Yes. Lucy in the sky with diamonds. Talking about the Beatles, where did they get that? I often think, you know, that's channeling some powerful stuff. Read this documentary. Oh, it's been decades ago. But some dude, you know, was trying to bring out a thesis that what happened with the Beatles has never happened in all of humanity. Never. It was this event that was so impacting, so changing. It released a frequency. It released a harmony. It was a vibration. And it had so many spinoffs. But, you know, do you think that's possible? See, I know that rock and roll never existed before, unless we had cities, unless we've been here before and technology slapped us down. And I don't know, are there reincarnations of, you know, were the slugs really, I mean, the Beatles, you know, was that 100,000 years ago? Did they have the, you know, Love Me Dude? I mean, it's, you know, I'm trying to see Jimmy Page and Robert Plant, you know, yeah, I'm not following that either. Or seeing, you know, Pete Townsend, you know, with John Bonham and, you know, Roger Daltrey and Keith Moon. I'm just saying. It was rock and roll. We did something with strings. I mean, we've always had the string instruments, you know, harps and violins and cellos and yada, yada, yada. You get it. But when we electrified them, wow, that's some far out stuff, man. That's all I got to tell you. Good music. Uh-huh. That's all I know. Let's see. Grace says the Beatles have their own controversy. Call me a conspiracy theorist. Hey, I won't do that at all, Grace, because what we have found out to be so often is that that which was classified conspiracy ends up being a freaking fact. I just really want to know, did Paul really die? I'm of the camp he did. I don't know who this Paul McCartney is, but don't believe he was the original one. Call me a conspiracy theorist, but also call me beautiful. That's all I got to say. Yeah. Um, John Price, the Beatles are the answer to MK Ultra, the British's answer. Yeah, it's, think about it. I mean, I love going back there and watching, when they did their concerts. I mean, it was freaking phenomenal. And to see, particularly the young girls. I mean, that's all that was there. The dudes were, but I mean, that was really feminine power unleashed. I mean, I don't think there's anything more dangerous or horrifying than a horde of young girls coming after. So because you're their idol. I mean, they'll tear you apart. Well, I got a piece of them, yeah. It's yeah, lady Ellie, yeah. I'm convinced of it, but then you got to ask yourself about George Martin. Wow, I can't help but not believe. And too bad Jimmy Page doesn't do interviews as often, but because Jimmy is a cultist. And I have heard this even the time when I was a roadie for Concerts West, that there was a lot of occultism that we just didn't recognize that was occultism. I mean, if you were really out there, as I was on the LSD, loved Dr. Timothy Leary, right? Wrote a song about him. Great song, by the way, that album. Timothy Leary. Yeah, y'all know it. Call me colorful. Jenny, I call you beautiful. But anyway, so many of the trips, it was like, when you drop the hit of acid and, it takes about 10 minutes, depending on how many mics it was and how pure it is. But within 15 minutes, you start to feel the effect. And then, this is what's so interesting, because your vision becomes different. You begin to see things. I mean, I always freaking loved the undulating of the Paisley forms. And, there was a club in Houston called Of Our Own. And I got to do the lighting effects, which was basically an overhead projector with water and using different colored oils. But it was enough to kind of really express what was going on. But my whole point to this, when you started getting to that point where you're peaking and you're really open, your astral body is open, your mind is really expanded out there. I can look back and I can still see symbols, and I was too young at the time to recognize what was going on. But anyway, okay. I think that's enough for the day. I love y'all. Y'all are really the best. But again, guess when we wrap this thing up, I'm kind of the camp that the earth will obviously need a new group of workers, light workers. I don't know. Maybe we will be of an ascended nature to where we can come back and bridge the astral to the corporeal. I don't know. They say that there's a lot working on that there are those who have crossed over that are working with the entities to actually build this bridge, a literal bridge into this realm. I hope they're successful. Pin Greedy, right back at you. Hey, Jeanette, how are you doing? That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah, and it's also interesting when you begin to see new lines appearing in your hand. You're going, now, wait a minute. I know that wasn't there. Yeah. It's like, okay. So what is that? All right, everyone. And thank you for a delightful hour. I so enjoy all of you. Boy, I think we tipped over some sacred cows today, isn't it? I can see this now. That guy said that the U.S. government, the Congress, and the senator are Satanist. I'm just merely pointing out what they said. It's like, wait a minute. I didn't say that. They did. Well, thank you. Hey, Sarah. Right back at you. Y'all are beautiful people. You know that? Thank you, Lady Ellie. Much love to you. And Chris, and Nina, and Know Thyself, and all the rest of y'all. Ruby, how you doing, darling? Big Daddy C, love it. Hard Truth Hall, I like that. Robert, well, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Appreciate everything that you do as well. Grace, much love to you, and Gaia, Jenny, and Trina, and all the rest of y'all. If I didn't say your name, you're up here. I'll do my Bill Murray, Now, yeah, that's what I just sent out. Yeah. Big hugs, big love. No boobies on this show. My wife actually saw that one, cracked up. She says, I like those women. I said, yeah, I mean, talk about an enlightened group. Hello. All right, folks. So see you tomorrow. Actually, a Friday, because technically tomorrow never comes. Isn't that the song, Annie? Tomorrow. All right. And anyhow, if you got dreams, still like to get the deeper interpretation. I'm telling you, it was weird, man. It was like this, but I actually did this with both hands. I don't know. Anyway. All right. Much love. That was two words being combined that ended up being no word at all. It had to be in a completely different stance. So until we meet again.